Good afternoon.
Benjamin shows up to, tell us something else about something else.
Okay, so it shouldn't be so bad then.
No.
Did you? I asked William because I when I looked at the agenda at 5:15, did we get the term sheets?
I did not see a term sheet attached to my package, so we'll
Me
see.
either. So I think they're probably working and trying to get that to us as soon as possible.
So we do have William with us, so that's good.
Yep.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
So we are live, but I'm going to wait another minute to get started to see who else may be hopping on here.
So William, were you able to get us the term sheets?
Yeah, I have to download one by one, so I'm almost done. I'll get those over to the committee right now.
Okay. See, John Mitchum had a very active public hearing last night.
Very active public hearing. It went till 20 minutes after 9.
I couldn't keep up any longer.
There were, lots of speakers. Not so many on the things that are on this agenda, though.
I know.
In fact, I don't know that we had anybody.
I didn't hear anybody speak on the items on this agenda.
No.
I think it was all public safety issues.
Well, a couple of people spoke about trees.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Hale, and then there was our sustainability director spoke. All right. Well, look, it's 5:32, so let me get the meeting started. Good evening, everyone. We are live. I'm John Gale, Councilman John Gale, and this is the meeting of the City of Hartford Court of Common Council's Planning, Economic Development, and Housing Committee for July 21st at 5:30 p.m. And with me this evening is Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon, co-chair of the committee, and then we've got other interested parties that we'll identify as we move along. So that everybody knows, we are, this is being broadcast live on HPA-TV, Comcast, and Frontier Government Channels 96 and 6032. It's also being streamed via hpatv.org, the HPA TV's Facebook page, and HPA TV's Roku TV, Apple TV, and Amazon TV apps. So hundreds of ways of following all of the fascinating and interesting doings here of the PEDH committee. It's also going to be available for rebroadcast on HPA TV's YouTube channel. So with that said, we do have a long agenda, but we'll see how we can make our way through it. I'm just going to go in the order as I see them. Item 2.1 on the agenda is Councilman Hernandez, Councilwoman Surgeon, Councilwoman Rossetti, Councilwoman Rosado, Councilman Clark, Councilman Thomas, a substitute resolution directing the Department of Public Works to evaluate and reconfigure bike lanes to support small business viability and multimodal safety. I believe that there's no one here to speak to promote that this evening. I think parties are still working on some language on that one. So Councilwoman Surgeon, if you would do me the honors of a motion to postpone.
Sure, make a motion to postpone items 2.1 because the item is not ready to be addressed as yet.
And I will second that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that one then is postponed to the next meeting of this committee. Item 2.2 is Councilman Josh Mictum, an ordinance amending Chapter 18, Article 9, Section 18-110 of the Municipal Code of the City of Hartford to provide adequate relocation services to displaced tenants. Again, I believe that Councilman Mictum and other members, other council members have been working with administration on some language changes for this, so it is not ready to move at this point. I don't see Councilman Mictum here, so Councilwoman Surgeon, if you would do me the honors a second time for a motion to postpone this item.
I'll make a motion to postpone items 2.2 to the following council meeting. The item is not ready to be taken up on the agenda.
And I will second that. Is there any further discussion about this one? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're on a roll here. Item 2.3 is Mayor Arulampalam with accompanying resolution to enter into a lease agreement for the development of 175 Mather Street through the Lots to Homes program. And I have heard this afternoon from the mayor's office with a request, an indication that this matter is also not yet ready to move forward, and a request that it be continued on the agenda. So we'll ask you for a third time, Councilwoman Surgeon.
Certainly, Councilman Gale, make a motion to postpone items 2.3 on the agenda to the next council meeting, but it's not ready to be taken up on the agenda.
And I second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the matter passes. So we're all the way down to 2.4, which is Mayor Arulampalam with accompanying resolution approving the transfer of 28 Gillette Street to the Hartford Land Bank. Now, this matter was scheduled for a public hearing, and it did have a public hearing yesterday. So we are ready to take it up. Is there anybody from administration that wants to talk about 28 Gillette Street?
Councilman, that'll be me.
All right, Mr. Diaz.
How you
from
doing?
Development Services, if you would, sir.
How you doing? So this particular property was foreclosed on by blight, probably going on a year ago. Now, the difference between this property is when we foreclosed on it, there was a lien that the mortgage company would not release unless the city agreed to transfer the parcel to a nonprofit entity. Initially, we had the land bank in mind, but we were working through the MOU. We showed the property to NINA Habitat. They were not interested in it. Maybe a month or two ago, we executed the agreement with the land bank, and this is the first property that we're going to be transferring to the land bank. And after the transfer, the lender will release the lien to the city of Hartford. So.
Okay, so if I understand it, then the land bank represents an acceptable charity to the holder of the mortgage.
That is correct. It had to be a nonprofit. They didn't want the city making any revenue off of this transaction.
And
not
they're
that
not
we typically do, but
yeah, well, they're not concerned that ultimately the land bank could turn around and sell it to somebody else.
Well, that's gonna happen. That's no matter who we transfer it to, but for some reason it was they didn't want the city of Hartford to capitalize off of this, but
Okay. Well, we're happy to have the land bank capitalize off it, I suppose.
Hmm.
Councilwoman Surgeon, any questions on this?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Um, does the land bank has any proposal on what they would do to the property, should they receive it?
um we walked through the property through. They would have they're considering maybe converting it to two family. Uh, it's in pretty tough shape inside, and it would have to add a correct egress, which it did not have at the rear of the property. But that is the intent, um, to convert it into possibly a two family.
Okay. All right. As long as they feel they can work with it, taking a look at the property, it does look shabby outside.
And
Right.
that street has a lot of vacant property on it, so.
Well, I was going to ask you that question. Is there any larger plan?
Mhm.
Gillette Street is quite a mess.
Yeah.
Going from Farmington Avenue down. I know this property, I'm assuming that, if I'm not mistaken, this is sort of the only wood structure on that
On the
block.
parcel. Yeah, it's I know we've talked to other development partners on property further down away from Farmington Ave. Um, it looks like there's some activity closer to Farmington Avenue, but there you're right, there's a lot of vacant properties, and
And we don't control any of it at this time?
this is the only one that we had under our control.
Okay,
Through you, Mr. Chair, just one more question for Mr. Diaz,
absolutely.
and that is there any timeline for the land bank once we transfer the property over to them? Do they have the financing to rehab the property for it? And is it something that they're thinking of selling to make it owner occupied?
I think well they think of they don't really hold on to any properties as soon as obviously they try to get it into the hands of homeowner occupied units as much as possible is typically their MO. This honestly is going to be a little difficult, but we're going to work with them to try to make sure that that they can identify the financing, but we've been getting a lot of inquiries from the legal team in order to release the lien. So we're actually trying to expedite the transfer because of that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll take a motion.
A motion, send back to the overall next council meeting for approval of, transferring and approving the transfer of 28 Gillette Street to the Hartford Land Bank.
That was with a favorable recommendation.
Yes, sir, for the favorable recommendation.
I second that motion. Any further discussion about that, Councilwoman?
No, sir, I'm all set.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll pass that one back to council with a favorable recommendation. All right, so moving on then to item 2.5. Let's see. 2.5, Mayor Arulampalam with accompanying resolution approving the sale of 22-24 Westland Street to Cheryl Thompson for redevelopment. And this also had a public hearing yesterday, and I don't believe there was any particular public comments about this. Mr. Diaz, is this also you to start with?
This one will also be me, Councilman. In this particular case, I put a brief presentation. If I can see if I can share my screen there. So can you guys see the screen?
We can. It's a little
Backed
contracted.
in a little bit, yeah.
Okay, let me try something else. How about now?
No, can't see anything now.
I'm losing my touch here.
And as Mr. Diaz is trying to get his computer to work, we did send over the term sheets. Did you get it?
Let me look. Thank you.
I think if we can hit slide, I think we can survive with this, William.
Can you?
Yeah,
Okay. I don't know what's going
we
on here.
just lost it again.
You were there and then you were gone.
Yeah.
So I don't see Councilwoman Surgeon for a few weeks, and I forgot how
I'm
to do.
telling you, I just got back here, few weeks, how about a few months? And I get you all discombobulated with salary, William. Didn't mean to do that to you.
We're just doing.
Okay, yeah, let's go with it.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
let's
but
do it.
yeah.
No, it's all right.
So,
Yeah.
so we're the resolutions to transfer multifamily home to Westland Street. Um, to Cheryl Thompson. As you may recall, we sat here a couple of months ago and transferred 214 Mather Street to Cheryl Thompson. So she's going to be doing the same thing, rehabbing the structure. They're basically investing approximately $311,000 estimated into this um, parcel. They have a 3-month due diligence with an extension. Property is being transferred as its conditions. They're going to comply with the typical city requirements, MWBE, city residency, um, the city Hartford plan, and sell this to a homeowner occupied that's gonna stay in the residence for approximately 5 years. Um, they're using the same development team that they've used that they're currently using for 214 Mather Street. This is some of the projects they've worked in the Hartford area. I think the Hartford Road is not in Hartford. I think that's in Newington. So I have a few pictures. This is 214 Mather Street. As you can see, these are the conditions when they first took the property and from the interior. Some of the initial conditions. I have a few more slides here of how it looked. You can see the picture on the right when you started with the framing. These are some of the after pictures. They're not completely done yet, but you can see the kitchen looks a lot better. here goes the bathroom. And then you can look at the rear of the building, the porch conditions. You can see the new wood in the back. It goes another slide, another before and after slide there. And I know I have Cheryl Thompson on the line. She can talk to you a little bit more about the estimated completion date and when we can have hopefully people living in there.
Thank you so much, William. So yeah, so we're close to the tail end of completing 214-216 Martha Street. We have submitted a permit to do a small porch on the front, but aside from that, the goal is to complete the project within about less than a month. So within about 3 weeks or so, we would be fully completed.
Okay.
Well, good for you. Anything else?
Nope, nope. I think that the timeline was great, from the time that we, started the demolition up until now. I think that we did some great progress. I do like the before and after. I'm proud of ourselves in terms of all the work that was being done. And so I'm excited for the opportunity to possibly move forward with this other property.
Excellent. Councilwoman Surgeon?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I remember meeting, doing this several months ago. Congratulations. I would say that, we didn't know you. We've never done this before in the city. And we took a gamble in giving you this property. I think it's a beautiful neighborhood, personally speaking. That just a little bit more, love and, care.
And care, exactly.
Looking forward to seeing when this is finished. And you were able to take on this property. I think one of the things when we met several months ago was that, we want to make sure that people who actually after I would say it's a brand new building, to be honest with you, after finish all the renovation, they would buy and live in that neighborhood, for a period of years. How are we doing with getting financing to try to get someone to buy this building when you're finished?
Yes, so I do have a realtor that I'm partnering with. And so we've had our initial discussions. She actually has some pre-approved, potential, individuals that might be interested in the property. The goal is that within the next few weeks, we'd like to put it to market. And then, hopefully, we'll get a buyer within the next 30 days. But we have started to have those discussions to move forward. I mean, the goal, and as we talked about, we want to kind of keep it within the city, right? We talked about not, selling to anyone outside of Connecticut. So, a lot of folks that have been having discussions with the realtor do live within the greater Hartford area.
Oh, that's great. Through you, Mr. Chair, one of the questions I really was really interested in is, should we approve this property? Would you be going through the same getting but consider getting pre-approval, try to get financing for the purchase of the building? And also, are you working with the city for the first-time homeowners program?
To get financing to purchase the fund to, let me get clarity. So are you asking if I'm getting financing to purchase the property on Westland or?
No, so basically you're remodeling these buildings and you're
Yeah.
going to sell them.
Correct.
And working with a lender.
Correct.
Getting some pre-approval.
Correct.
For someone who wants to buy the property.
Yes.
As you're renovating.
Correct. That is correct. And the goal is, and I've had some discussions with the realtor, is that we're trying to identify first-time buyers. And so, first-time buyers, when they, purchase a new home, it's required for them to remain in the property for a minimum of 5 years. And so those are, to start some of the types of individuals that we're targeting.
are you also working with the City of Hartford Housing Department regarding helping with first-time home
Home buyers.
down
I
payment?
can make the, Councilwoman, I can make the connection with the housing
Okay.
division to see if it's something that they may have people that may also have interest, and there are also programs that housing division can help assist with making, making that transaction. So
Yeah, that would be a big help. And the sales price
Mhm.
of the first property, how is that? Is that pretty much reasonable for that for the neighborhood for Hartford when you
Ye-
finish remodeling it?
Yes, we're kind of staying within market to mirroring, the market price that's being sold similar to the properties within that area. We're kind of staying within that market.
For you, Mr. Chair, thank you, sir.
So, Mr. Diaz, I have a question on looking at the term sheet where it talks about use restrictions and covenants. This is, I think, on page 4 of the term sheet. And I'm assuming that something similar was on the term sheet for the Mather Street.
correct. It was
Property.
the term sheets was mirrored from the terms of 214.
And so when we talk about these use restrictions, are we then, the city of Hartford, putting an actual uh, document on the land records that represents a use restriction?
I believe it was recorded on a transaction with the deed.
It's recorded with the deed. So when we transfer title here to Ms. Thompson, the transfer will also include a use
The use
restriction
restriction, yes.
that'll run for 5 years with the property.
Correct.
Okay, all right, very good.
And that's just the same thing's gonna happen with the lots to homes, which also have use restrictions, so.
Okay, so that's the way in which we as the city try to make sure that what we've put forward, that these are gonna be homeowners that are gonna be living in these properties for at least 5 years. That's how we are able to police that, so to speak.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have no other questions. Councilwoman Surgeon, anything else from you?
No, sir, just want to commend Mr. Diaz. Those were the issues we had with the first project. And he certainly did listen to the council and to the recommendation of making sure these restrictions were put into the transfer of title to, to the developer. So thank you, Mr. Diaz, for listening from the first time. And
course.
thank you, Ms. Thompson, for for wanting to work in the city of Hartford. Beautiful city. I honestly think people don't take advantage of our city and what we really have to offer. So thank you very much for your investment in our city.
Thank you.
Oh,
And
I had
so-
one other question.
Go ahead, sir.
Now, I forgot, 2224 Westland, is this near Vine or is this near Maine? Which end of Westland is this?
Which is the main.
Maine?
Closer
Further
to-
down, yeah.
All right, so this is right off the intersection of Main Street then. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Really nice. 'Cause
Councilwoman,
sorry, I'm trying to picture, I'm driving down the street, going down Weston Street, going towards Main Street. Yep. So if you're all set, should I make a motion?
I would love it.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I am make a favorable motion to favorably send back to the council a favorable recommendation on for the sale of the approval for the sale of 22 to 24 on Western Street to Cheryl Thompson.
And I second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're gonna send this back with a favorable recommendation. Just for anybody that's listening, the next meeting of council is August 10th, I believe, second Monday in August. So there should be time for these matters to appear on that agenda at that time.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along then to item 2.6. This is Mayor Arulampalam with a resolution approving the sale of 230 Capon Street to Daniel Alvarado. Is this also you, Mr. Diaz?
Yes, 1 second. So similar to what we did at the meeting 2 months ago, um, when we talked about the lots to homes programs, we had several parcels that we put together. So I do want to talk about, with your permission, um, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, and 2.9 together.
Okay,
So all
I don't have a particular problem, Councilwoman Surgeon. Any
Nope.
problem with that?
No,
All
sir, let's make it more efficient, absolutely.
So this is 905 West Boulevard, um, Capens, 230 Capens Street. Let's see, you said 2.8,
2243 Main Street.
correct.
2243 Main Street, and is there a fourth one?
There's 230 Capin, 684 Garden Street, 905 West Boulevard, and 2243 Main Street.
Got it. Okay, all right.
Got you.
Okay. So let me. On uh, on the presentation, you can see there's most of them are vacant lots, and a few of them have structures. So we identified several um, interested parties for the vacant lots, and that went through the council meeting in May. Those are being contracted as we speak, so we're drafting contracts for all those. We also selected 4 developers for properties that actually have structures in them. There's 230 Capon Street, 684 Garden Street, 905 West Boulevard, 2243 Main Street. Um, these are a lot of these developers are smaller, not a lot of experience with the city of Hartford. So what we did this time around, we gave them, we do a short due diligence period. Uh, of 3 months. That way, we, after the contract is executed, we work to them. If they're not, if we see that they're going in the right direction, we can always extend the due diligence period. If the project is not moving along, we can, we let the contract, purchase and sales contract expire and find another developer. Obviously, they also have to comply with the city requirements, MWBE requirements, the living wage, and and other items like that. What's different with this one? There's upon completion of the development, the homes have to be sold to a homeowner occupied. Someone has to agree to live in a property for 15 years, and they have to be earning at or below the 120 area um, medium income, the AMI. So these projects, as we talked about before, there are subsidy dollars of up to 150K per unit, and that's why these requirements are so stringent.
So do you want to talk a little bit about each of the
Yes.
each of the properties and each of the developers? Just a brief description of each property, if you would, and what you might or might not know about each proposed developer. So I see 230 Capon Street is the first one we have up,
Yeah,
and
so
that's Daniel Alvarado.
correct. So what we did with these particular or existing parcels, but what we did with the whole program, we dictated the parameters between 1 to 3 family houses. Um, we were vague in the term sheet because just because a property says it's 3 family in our records in the assessor's database doesn't mean it's accurate. So I didn't want to say that there are 3 families until that has been verified through planning and zoning on all these properties. So these are all rehabs of the existing properties, no new construction for these.
So these are not vacant lots. These are
These are
all
not vacant lots. These four, the first phase that we did were all vacant lots. These are just rehabs of these existing structures.
okay. So these are blighted structures that are
Blighted, yep, that were
unoccupied at present. They're on the city. We own them, and we're looking to put them in the hands of somebody who can do something with them.
correct.
And do we have any experience with? Let's start with Mr. Alvarado.
Well, like I said, most of these people are new working with the city of Hartford. They all have experience working on projects, but not with the city per se.
Wasn't there some training of new developers that's I don't know if it's the land bank that's working on getting more people up
Yes,
to speed?
the land bank does offer training opportunities for new developers.
Are any
And
of these developers products of the land bank training, or do we not know?
I do not know, but I know that the land bank was also assisting the city of Hartford, and they're going to continue assisting the city. But they were involved in the selection of some of these. Um, they were reviewing the proposals that we received. So
Okay, so we have Mr. Alvarado for 230 Capon Street, 905 West Boulevard. I'm actually kind of familiar with that. I think that's a stucco um, uh, home that's on the corner of West
it's
Boulevard
on
and South Whitney Street.
correct.
And here we have FQ Real Estate Ventures, which I'm assuming this is another small developer that is somewhat new to
Correct.
developing.
Yeah,
And
we selected all small developers to work on these parcels.
all right,
That was
and I know you mentioned this once, but I'll ask you just kind of repeat it. You mentioned that you were working with them over some period of 3 months. to see if they are actually able to kind of
So
put all the pieces together?
correct. So usually, well, it depends on the project, but we like to, after we execute a purchase and sales agreement, we give the developers a grace period so they can do their diligence. They can, if it's new construction, finalize their drawings. If it's uh, any development, basically finalize or finance that. I know in this particular case, we're going to have, if there's subsidies dollars are going to be administered through the Housing Development Fund, they may qualify up to 150K per unit. So the Housing Development Fund would also assist with the grant. They're going to administer the grant on the city's behalf and also assist with the underwriting and also assist with finding financing, low interest rate financing for the developer. So we want to give them the opportunity to move the project forward. But if we see that they're not moving the project forward, we do want the opportunity to identify a new developer as soon as possible because these dollars are at a first come first served basis.
And each of these proposed sales is for $1.
Correct.
So the developer here is not paying anything for the property, and I believe you indicated that to some degree the trade-off is that the restriction on finding buyers for these particular properties.
Finding buyers and their at 120 or below 120, and then the 15 years restriction of having to be in a home.
Okay, and then let's see, completing the roster here, we got 2243 Main Street. That's going to E.R. Wilson Real Estate LLC, and the last one, 684 686 Garden, is going to Pariser
Enterprises.
Enterprises.
Correct.
Okay. Councilwoman Surgeon, questions for Mr. Diaz?
I did talk to Mr. Diaz earlier on, before the meeting, because I wasn't here, to hear the presentation on the lots program. I do hope the city, through you, Mr. Chair, has been doing its due diligence on the actual, developers themselves. Since they're small developers, don't have very much, a track record or experience. One of the things we found out with us, over the years is, just Googling to make sure these are legitimate people. Giving them an opportunity to actually become developers, it's great, but we are invested up to over 300,000, for the renovations of these properties and trying to get them back on the tax roll. One of the issues I had, and I told Mr. Diaz, is that, making sure we, sort of find some way how to cap the sales price and the developer, fees. Since, we're giving these, small business an opportunity, to have some revenue. Could Mr. Diaz address those issues and concerns I brought to his attention?
Yeah, and just to add to that, Councilwoman, um, so these projects are monitored by a project manager, which will help the developer walk through the processes, making sure that they're in compliance, making sure they have the permits. And even when we were reviewing the proposals that were received, we had members from housing, blight, L&I, making sure that there was no issues on other projects, making sure that they had no open permits. We had, like I said, we talked to the land bank also. They were part of the selection process. So it wasn't just us making the decisions. We're looking at other, although they have not worked with the city, they've worked with on other projects in the city. We were making sure that they had no other, like there were some people that were disqualified because of issues they've had on other projects. So we did vet these things, these responses.
And because of the cost of, renovations, which is extremely high these days for materials, we talked also about, if you could address, the sales price of these, homes and the developer's fees, because we are giving these, properties away for $1.
Correct. So we were, like I said, we were working with the Housing Development Fund Incorporated. So they would help us with the underwriting, capping, making sure that to your point, that the buyer can afford the property. So we have to have a sell price that's reasonable. At the same time, making sure that developer is making a fee, maybe 10 to 12%.
I think you also mentioned that you give them up to 3 months to actually see the progress and hope progress and how far they're going in the development. So what happens if they
In,
do not
in the
um
pre-development, right? So
develop? Okay.
yeah, so basically the process goes that after we received a favorable recommendation from council, and the mayor has the authority to execute the contract. The executed purchase and sales agreement does not transfer ownership of the property to the developer. So until that's where the due diligence period takes place. So they have paperwork saying the city's going to sell me this if I comply with A, B, and C, making sure that they have their financing and stack put together. Now, if 90 days pass and we notice that there's no activity, the purchase and sales agreement is terminated and we can identify another developer. If we see that they're moving forward and they need a little bit more time, then we have the option to extend the due diligence period.
And just one other point down through you, Mr. Chair, and that is not overextending these new developers to no more than one or two properties for construction. Do we have anything in place on that?
Not overextending them. Well, yeah,
Exactly.
in this case, there's four properties, there's four separate developers, and we are aware of what they're working on. We don't want to give, even like with Miss Thompson, they wanted a lot more properties at first. We said let's do Mather Street first, see how that turns out, and that's so now and that's what we try to do with the smaller developers to make sure that okay, this looks good, council is happy, let's do something else.
Awesome. We certainly have Mrs. Thompson as the guinea pig on this one.
The poster child, poster
The
child.
poster child. Okay, not guinea pig. Okay, poster child. And my only
It's a
one
pilot,
last
right? It's a pilot.
pilot
Pilot.
program.
Pilot.
That's the
Exactly.
correct terminology, pilot.
Pilot program. And my only concern again is you said we have project managers. Is it city employees or whichever company we're using to
Well,
oversee these 3 or 4 buildings?
so for even like for Ms. Thompson is that we have a senior project manager from economic development that meets with her. I don't know if it's every other week or once a month. It depends on the size of projects. Some projects we meet every week. So making sure we have compliance in that meeting, making sure that they're meeting the goals of MWBEs, the Hartford residency. They monitor the wage rates, making sure that permits are being pulled, and not just to monitor, but also if they need our assistance. Our project manager helps them navigate. Like if they're waiting for something from L&I, then our project manager is aware of that and can make that connection and try to expedite the process. So it's we're there to facilitate the project.
Mhm. That's it for me, Mr. Chair. I'm good.
You're good?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, so we talked about all these as a package, so I'm okay if we want to take one motion that moves 4 things forward
Oh, okay.
at the same time. This would be items 2.6 to item 2.9.
Okay. So I will make a motion to favorably recommend back to this council meeting, items 2.6 through 2.7, 2.8 through and 2.9. A favorable recommendation to approve the sale of the properties for those 4 items on the agenda.
And I will second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and so that'll pass back to council unanimously with favorable recommendation to move all of those on the next, hopefully on the next council agenda. All right, so we're at item 2.10, 2.10. This is Mayor Arulampalam with a tax fixing agreement for Edge 400 project. Who's up on this one?
Good evening,
Benjamin.
committee. Jack
Okay.
Benjamin, Economic Development Director. I'll be taking this item.
Oh, he
We-
speaks. Yay.
We are fast approaching halfway through the hour. Might I suggest we recess and reset our 30-minute clock here so we don't get kicked off halfway through?
I agree with you, and I don't know how to do so.
I
don't
think
know
if
how
we all
to-
leave and then go back into the same link, we should be able to.
All right, you're claiming to be the most tech savvy person on this screen. So
Yeah,
Well, we
please.
all did it last time, so I have faith that we can.
all right,
Okay.
so we're gonna all leave right now. Is that the idea?
And
all
then
right.
sign
Correct.
back on again?
On three,
Sign
leave
back
and
on.
come back in.
Unless
Alright,
we can get this
okay.
done in 2 minutes, Jack.
Like,
All right, I'm doing
no
it now.
pressure.
HPA-TV, I hope it can do that also. Mr. Benjamin, did it work? Did we get 10 more minutes? Okay, great.
Hopefully we got 30.
Mhm. Well, let's hopefully HPA-TV came back on.
We do have HPA TV.
John and Councilman Gale is gonna sign back on. Okay, great.
Okay, I see that I'm the last one on again, it seems.
We
Okay,
made it.
so Mr. Benjamin continues.
Great. So good evening, committee. So Jack Benjamin, Economic Development Director. So this project is a tax fixing agreement proposal for the Edge 400 development project. And I have with me from the development team, Mark Daigle, Mark Palat, and Steve Kaminsky from Emerald Development and Dakota Partners, who are the project developers. So I have a presentation, if I may share my screen.
Yep.
Is that visible to all?
Yes, it is.
Great. So I will walk you through what this proposal looks like. Okay, so to give everybody the lay of the land here with the development program proposed on this site, these are 4 parcels right now, vacant save for the old Apple Cinema building in the center here. And these are 326, 332, 338, and 344 New Park Ave are the addresses. This is a 3-phase project. Phase 1, which is starting on the southernmost part of the property, are buildings 1, 2, and 3, which are all some mix of low to moderate income housing, and buildings 1 and 3, which are the subject of this tax fixing agreement. And then phase 2, which is the sort of redevelopment and re-envisioning of the center building, the old cinema building, where they will retain 5 theaters, put in a full bar and restaurant, and have an additional sort of entertainment lounge and arcade concept. And then phase 3, which is the northernmost piece of the site, which are buildings number 4 and 5, and that is at this point projected to be market rate housing. So the critical piece to know about this project and the financing structure, which necessitates a tax deal, a tax fixing, here is that buildings 1 and 3 are a 4% and a 9% LIHTC project, or LIHTC projects respectively. Low-income housing tax credits are the name of the program, and that's a federal program that comes with it 40 years worth of deed or 40 years worth of deed restrictions on the property that essentially require between 30% to 80% area median income units. So 100% of the units will be set aside at these affordable rates. And I believe, and the development team can correct me, but essentially for LIHTC projects to qualify, they have to average around under 60% for all the units when aggregated, under 60% area median income. And essentially why that's important to know about this project, and we'll get into the details in a second, is because the deed restricted units essentially deflate the amount of revenue that these properties can bring in, especially in comparison to the construction costs. And therefore, there needs to be a tax fix in place to hedge against revaluation and unknowns in the valuation of the property in the future that could threaten to blow up the project's pro forma and for the project not to pencil out. So these are excerpts from the term sheet that was shared, I believe, at the start of this meeting. And this gives you some information on the current assessments of these empty parcels at the top, the current tax payments that these parcels garner, the estimated assessed valuation, and then the general terms. So buildings 1 and buildings 3. Building 1 is the 4% LIHTC project, and building number 3 is the 9% LIHTC project. 4% LIHTC project is a less competitive application that goes through the state's Department of Housing through CHPA, and those projects under 4% essentially provide about 30% of the entire capital stack in the form of tax credits. And so that requires another 70% of the project to be raised through either partner equity, cash equity, developer equity, deferred development fees, or traditional construction financing, and that's debt. And then building number 3 is a 9% LIHTC deal, and 9% deals are highly competitive. This one was awarded the deal in May through CHPA, the state's financing arm of the Department of Housing. And a 9% deal affords you about 70% of the entire capital stack in tax credits. And so that reduces the amount of debt that has to be assumed. They are still obviously deed restricted units, and they do require the fixing to make the projects pencil. So the initial term on this proposed fix is 15 years, with added to it 2 renewal options of 5 years each. And those renewal options may be exercised as long as the rent restrictions necessitated by LIHTC are kept in place. And then this gives you an idea, essentially, of a comparison between the current revenue, what the tax fixing agreement will yield, and then a full tax bill based on the property's likely assessed value post-project completion. What I note about this full tax bill is you've got the largest bar on the bar chart here, but that's infeasible. The project doesn't pencil unless there's a fixing agreement, very similar to the one that we've proposed. And so that's a unicorn. That's not a bill that we will realize revenue from because essentially the project doesn't pencil. And the really critical piece to understand about the financing is that when the development team goes to the private market to look for loans, they have to underwrite and the debt has to service. So they have to prove that the revenue coming in, their net operating income essentially covers more than a 1-to-1 ratio of the debt. And really, lenders on the private market need to see about a 1.15 to 1.25 debt service coverage ratio. And so we drew this line here to show you that even in the first few years of the deal, we're barely hitting that 1.15 and a little bit below that 1.15 mark for the first few years, and then rising up through the 25 years to cover over a 1.25 debt service coverage ratio. And essentially, this is what makes the project pencil out. So I'm happy to take questions. I'm happy to also introduce the development team if we have any questions for the folks in charge of the project.
Why don't we have you introduce the team and let them speak a little bit, and then we'll turn it over for some questions.
Great.
Sure.
So Mark Daigle, Mark Palat, and Steve Kaminsky on the line.
So, Jack, do you want to stop sharing this?
Sure.
So Mark Daigle with Emerald Development, principal of Emerald Development. We are acting as consultants working with Southport Financial Group, our partners. And Mark Palat is Vice President of Development. Mark is doing all the permitting of the project and working closely with the city on moving the project through toward closing. And Steve is our Vice President Development on the acquisition side and financing side. So any questions around the pro forma and so forth, Steve can answer.
Thank you. Either of the others like to comment?
I'm fine. I'm upset.
Okay, can't entice you, huh? All right.
Nice try.
Councilwoman Surgeon, questions?
I'm gonna be honest, it's taking a lot for me to actually digest all this information at one time. So go ahead, Councilman Gale, because the only thing is, before I even get to it, go ahead, Councilman Gale. I'm
Okay,
trying to
I'll
put
ask a few
my
questions.
questions in my mind right now.
So I think I know what these things are, but maybe Mr. Benjamin, you could give us a better definition. What is a debt service coverage ratio?
Debt service coverage ratio is a very simple calculation that lenders require. So it's a product of the development pro forma. Development pro forma juxtaposes the upfront capital outlay, so the construction costs of a development project, with the operations over the course of an extended lifespan. So essentially what you're looking at is upfront costs to build the project, and then the operating expenses and the operating revenue over an extended period of time. And lenders need to see a debt service coverage ratio. So that's when you basically less out the expenses from the revenue on an annual basis, and you're left with that NOI, that net operating income, and you divide that by the annual debt payment. And so lenders need to see that your property, like any business, is bringing in more than it needs to service the debt, to pay for the debt on an annual basis.
So simple example, you take in $100 of income and your debt is $100. What's your debt service ratio?
1 to 1. It's 1.0. 1.0 is the debt service coverage ratio.
Okay, so here you said the debt service ratio was higher than 1.
Yes, and lenders need to see the sort of common wisdom is that a lender needs to see a 1.15 debt service coverage ratio at the beginning of a project.
Meaning that the income is higher, not all that much higher, but higher than the debt service.
Higher with a little bit of cushion. And that's because pro forma is unperfect. You're estimating maintenance costs. You're saying, look, this is a new building. Likely this is not going to need a considerable amount of investment in maintenance and upkeep for an extended period of time. But with real estate projects, things happen and things need to be fixed. And so there needs to be a little cushion so that the lender knows that if anything happens, that the debt can still be serviced.
So a debt service ratio of 2 would be a great ratio.
And,
so
and
rare, a lot of income.
Outside of Manhattan and Boston, there are not many markets in the Northeast that can garner a 2.0 debt service coverage ratio, and likely nothing can upon initial construction.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that explanation. I'm interested in you showed us a schematic there of where the various pieces are going to go, and I know sometimes these things are not fixed. This is just where perhaps a starting point. I don't know to what extent you got this fixed, but maybe you could just put that back up for a second. I'd like you to kind of walk me through where you see parking for vehicles in this schematic.
Everything in gray, essentially, as you're looking around the site, is parking, and it's sort of managed in its respective phases, right? So buildings 1, 2, and 3.
So what's the green area that's in front of building 2, I guess?
Right here?
Yeah,
Or here? That's landscape.
that green area.
The development team can speak more specifically to that, but I assume it's
Mark, go ahead.
landscape.
Yeah, Mark, go ahead. What you
Yeah,
want?
that green space in the front is a combination of a play area for the kids, because they will have a playground area, and it's a stormwater detention area too. It manages our stormwater within the property, so you don't end up taking all the water during a rainstorm, pumping it back into the MDC system, which in this location is a combined system. It's best that we can get as much as we can, put it back into the earth in that location. And in this area where those 3 blue buildings are, we're probably about a 1.2 parking ratio in that area, getting close to 1.2.
Meaning what?
From a ratio, from the zoning perspective, the local zoning in Hartford is basically, you don't have a minimum, in the sense, you don't have to put any parking at all. They encourage that you don't have any because of public transit. You want to do public transit in the area, but obviously people do have cars. And within the street area, you might have about 80 spaces plus or minus on both sides, but people are going to be taking those. So you got to provide some spaces on the property. So the 1.2, so basically there's 1.2 spaces per unit. So there's a little more than 0.2 more spaces to count for additional visitors, or 2 cars per family.
And so that's for the properties that are on the left side.
Yep. On
What's the parking ratio for the properties on the right side?
The right side, the residential on the right side, that being a market rate, that they want to get a little bit more, because it is a market rate. So they're looking for 1.5. So right now we're at a 1.5 ratio there within that parking area.
So, and there seem to be gray areas at the front, all the way from one end to the other. Is that actual parking then, right in the front, right on New Park Avenue?
Well, New Park Avenue is on the top of the page.
Oh, sorry, this is the busway to the south here. So,
Oh,
so there's New Park
yes.
Ave. That's the West Hartford line, and there's New Park.
oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. I was looking at this totally backwards.
Not a problem. And on the right-hand side is 84, the bypass over there. And then obviously if you go under 84, right up the street, I would say, a couple 100 yards or so is the fast track station.
And Stop and Shop.
Yeah, just past.
Yeah, it's obviously right. And you've got another one not too far the other way at
That's right.
Flatbush Avenue.
Yep.
That is correct. But this is walking distance. It's very convenient for everyone. So, I mean, the justification for a lower percentage, there's a good justification for it. But
Okay, well, no, I'm glad to see. I was concerned you had parking out at the street. Now I see it's all behind. Much better. This was,
well, thank you.
This is good urban design.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very good.
We try our best.
So, and then they've got a great Colombian restaurant right across the street.
They do.
Starting right off. So, okay, so, and I take it the length. I mean, we don't typically approve tax fixing agreements of this
No, we don't.
length. This one's 15 plus 5 plus 5, so it's potentially 25 years.
Mhm.
Most of the ones that I've been used to seeing were 10 years, and then most recently we've kind of gone up to 15 years. But
So to give you just some perspective on that, Councilman Gale, the state a few years ago changed its 1265B statute to allow tax fixing agreements to go out to 30 years. And that was in part due to LIHTC deals, which require these deed restrictions on the rental rates through 40 years. So the rental rates may go up every year based on the fair market rents that HUD, the federal government, sets, but they may not. And then the project sort of stagnates with revenue. So the 25-year deal is approaching or getting at least closer to that entire term that LIHTC requires. And so that's why you're looking at a longer term deal here.
And, but the taxes, I take it, while rents might go up, inflation might, there could be all kinds of different economic factors that take place over those 25 years. Our taxes, however, are only going to go up 2.5% every year. That's a fixed amount.
So this is also based on the fact that when you look 20 years back in time at HUD's fair market rents, they go up an average of 2% a year. So this 2.5% escalator is actually outpacing the typical or the average escalation of fair market rents over the last 20 years. And it's actually over the last 40, because if you look back to the 80s, between 84 and 2004, I think the latest data I have is 2024. So 84 to 04 was about 1.9% year over year fair market rent increase, and then 04 to 24 was about 2% even. So our escalator is actually outpacing the average fair market rent increase on an annual basis.
Was there any thought of doing a reset at year 15 or?
Well, that's why we do have the renewal options in there. They are triggered by retaining the affordable housing requirements. So the developer needs to demonstrate that they've retained those requirements, and then that qualifies them for the renewal. And again, that's just based off the average growth of fair market rents and how we expect that to impact the revenue of the project.
Look, John, I don't mean to cut you, but we only have 1 more minute left on the Zoom. Before we get
we're all
going
going to
off
come back.
again.
We know how to do it now.
You know, I've got just coming back to council, you know, after, you know, been gone for the 3 or 4 months. I really would like to sit down and talk to Jack a little. What the hell? Are we back? Oh, jeez.
Third time's a charm.
That
Yeah,
is.
let's. I'm gonna go really quickly. Jack, is there a time restraint in trying to get this approval by August?
I'll let the development team answer that. They did express to me that there was a sense of urgency.
I'm asking your recommendation to me, Jack. You know.
Yeah, my recommendation. So it's a time sensitive project, and in part that's because of the federal LIHTC credits. And then part of it's about they need to get shovels in the ground essentially to start the project.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, Jack. Our goal is to have this project in the ground in the spring. And to do that, we've got to move our way through the closing process with CHAFA and DOH. And part of that is the overall tax deal. So if this gets delayed, then everything gets pushed with it. And so it's our desire to have this resolved, if at all possible, as soon as possible, so that we can get our shovels in the ground and start construction.
Gotcha. What I wanted was to, couple of things, Jack. One of the things on the term sheet, normally I'm accustomed to the actual, you know, tax, what amount of tax is going to be paid over, you know, 1 to 5 or 15 years, so on and so forth. I didn't see that on the term sheet.
Sure. So on the term sheet we didn't give you the whole, well, yes, we did. So if you look at, you have the per unit number, but first you have the tax rate of a fixed number. So it starts at building number 1, 55,000, building number 3, 65,000.
Bottom of page 1.
Sorry,
okay,
yeah.
That's okay. I'm so used to seeing a chart of it.
Oh.
All right. That's so okay. All right. Now, all right. Okay, got you. That's here. Yep. there it is, for year one,
I am
for building.
open to formatting requests also, so.
There was,
Yep. Spoiled over the years, that's all. That's basically it. Um, through you, Mr. Chair, back to Jack again, for approval from the state and for the Department of Housing for the LIHTC credits. How are we doing with the statewide as trying to, I know the governor basically want to see a lot more housing in the state of Connecticut. What is your, intuition of approval of this?
In about 2022, I believe Governor Lamont came out and said that there was a dearth of about 90,000 low to moderate income units in the state. And we have barely made a dent in that in 4 years. And that has to do with a number of different things. If you take Hartford's proportion of that as compared to the rest of the state based on population, that's a couple thousand units. And a lot of it has to do with sort of zoning that doesn't comply. Luckily, this is a transit-oriented development zone with some flexibility. Some of it has to do with tax issues, some of it's utility costs, some of it's construction costs, and a lot of it has to do with local permitting. And so in development services, we've been trying to tackle all of those issues so that we can start to take a bite out of this massive demand that is not being met.
Okay, so it looks very favorable, Glenn.
This project is an infill project. There's nothing going on the site. Being able to produce 300 plus units here is a huge win as far as housing production is concerned.
And it's a great location.
Great location.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
good.
it would be wonderful to see something there. It's been, almost from the beginning, there was tremendous underusage of the size of that lot.
Yeah.
And the neighborhood is very excited that there's going to be an entertainment component. They were very dismayed to lose the theater. This is something that the Parkville NRZs expressed a lot of interest in seeing happen.
One other question for you, Jack. The how does this the tax rate per unit here? How does this compare, if you know, to the tax rates at the that we're doing for the Hartford Housing Authority, the Willow Creek and the other one, Park River?
I think they're in the ballpark. So those are also LIHTC projects. They went through a slightly different process. And I think that those are around the 1,000 per unit number. Don't quote me on that. I'll get you the information, Councilman Gale.
All right, that would be helpful. And Councilwoman Surgeon may have some additional questions that she can look to get some answers to.
Certainly.
Between now and our council meeting. We could always, if we needed to, we could come back to it. But in the meantime, Councilwoman, are you prepared to perhaps make a motion to send this back?
Sure, Councilman Gale. I would put a motion on the floor to send back to council a favorable recommendation to approve the tax agreement for what's the name of the project? Edge 4,000, Edge 400 project located on New Park Avenue, with additional questions from myself before the August council meeting.
Okay, and I will second that. And I do have a couple of comments. Or one question: where'd the Edge 400 come from? Is that because we're approaching 400 years of Hartford history? Or is this reflecting shaving cream, the Edge or something? What do we got?
Well, we're certainly in the right location. We're calling it at the edge of the city, and it seemed like an appropriate name for the project.
Excellent. One comment for you. I'm sure you all know that historically this was the Hubeline factory. This is where Smirnoff vodka, Popov vodka, A1 steak sauce. I mean, these things were made there for forever. Hubeline was a big name in Hartford history. And next door you have the Stop and Shop. And I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but in the Stop and Shop marquee, their sign, you'll see right at the middle at the bottom, there's a typewriter. And that's a reference to the fact that Stop and Shop was built on the site of the Royal typewriter factory, which was a huge
Huge.
manufacturing facility. Most of the typewriters in the country were made here in Hartford between Underwood and Royal, and the Royal factory was right there where the Stop and Shop is. So if you thought about it, it would be really fun if you incorporated,
Absolutely.
I'm not suggesting a vodka
You
bottle,
put a
but
I was
vodka
gonna say.
bottle up there.
if you incorporated something that referenced Hubeline, that
Fair
would
enough.
pick up a lot of the local history of the Parkville neighborhood. So having
I like
said that, all in favor of sending this back favorably to council, say aye.
I with a
Aye.
recommendation of having some sort of acknowledgement of Hubeline in the name or picture or something.
Some reference somewhere. Okay. so-
Somewhere reference.
Fair
All
enough.
right,
Okay.
you guys, you got that now, right? You're
You
on
got
it.
it.
Got it.
They're on it. Okay.
I, we forgot to say aye.
Aye.
Aye, yes. Thank
Okay.
you for recommending. Yep.
All right. So it looks like we still have more on our agenda here.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Yes,
very much.
well. Thank you.
John, you can hurry up before our few minutes are up.
Okay, so
here.
item 2.11 is Mayor Arulampalam with a resolution of financial assistance agreement with the Housing Development Fund for the Neighborhood Homes Program. And who's taking this one?
This is our housing division. I'll attempt to talk. Maybe Jack can may also be able to assist. So when we're talking about these lots to home program, and we had the city's $2 million. We were going to have the housing development fund folks administer the city's money. They are already administering, I believe, $4 million from the state of Connecticut. So it's a very similar program. I think our $2 million is a little bit more flexible, where we can assign 150K per unit versus they're doing 150K per structure. But so in order for the housing development fund folks to administer the program, we would need to have a resolution giving us the authority to do so. On top of that, we also reached out to an architect to make a design for the vacant lots. I think we started with the two-family, not only just for this program, but let's say there's a developer, small developer that's interested in buying a piece of land from the city. Our goal is to have a design, let's call it, I think Jeff said we'll call it like the Hartford design, where it fit in most of the neighborhoods. Obviously there'd be some tweaks if it's a historic neighborhood, but we want to have a design made when someone wants to build a property, it's easier for them instead of starting from scratch and hiring an architect, have something that's probably been pre-approved by the city. So this resolution is to authorize the Housing Development Fund to administer the 2 million and 200K of that 10% will be for the administrative fees, and then for a portion of that to go to the design of a two-family home.
Oh, interesting. So who is the
Yes.
Housing Development Fund, Inc.?
Wow.
Who is that? Well, these are the dollars that are going to be used for the lots to home program.
Yeah, no, but I mean, where is Housing Development Fund,
company?
Inc. located? Who are
Yeah,
the principals
company?
there? What's
Or the Housing Development Fund? Or
yeah,
who
what
are
do we
the
know
folks?
about the housing? Sorry, what do we know about the Housing Development Fund?
HDF is a statewide agency. Kylie Goslin is the actual CEO, I think is the title, and she formerly was Economic Development Director for the city of Hartford. So
I
we
remember
like to think
Kylie. Yeah.
we like to think we have a special place in HDF's heart. But they've administered all sorts of similar loans for new housing throughout the state. They know the market really well. They seemed like fairly natural partners for this program, as they are administering a tranche of funding from the state that's doing almost exactly the same thing with $150,000 per property gap financing.
And I assume they're a nonprofit.
Yeah, they're a nonprofit. I don't know what their actual tax designation is, but they're a nonprofit.
And where did our $2 million that we're gonna send over to them, where did that come from?
I believe that was an allocation from the general fund. I'm not in
think we did
support of.
that.
Yeah.
So that's
I
something
think
we inserted in our budget this
Yes,
past-
John, I think we did that,
Maybe 2 years ago.
I think a
Yes.
couple of years ago. Those were
Yeah.
the same, 2 million was, or 4 million went to
It
the
was-
neighborhood.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it was allocated by city council, but it was
Yeah,
final
and then
use
2
was
million,
never,
right.
yeah,
We
so
did this
this
already.
is,
We allocated it already.
yeah, so the
We have
money's
done-
there, but we need another resolution to authorize us to actually use it or for the purpose, for these purposes.
So it was allocated by city council and
Yes.
but it did come from the general fund or it came from
Mhm.
elsewhere?
No, it came from, if I remember, and then this is memory now going back, it's general funds. We had at the end of the budget process after reconciliation, these were monies that we allocated 4 million for the neighborhood investment business, small business on the main streets. $2
Okay,
million went into the housing portion of it. And I can't remember what else we did, but we did this about 2 years now budget process.
okay,
Right, the first year, Mayor Aralampulam came into office.
okay, thank you. Any questions, Councilwoman Sturgeon?
For me, just basically, I do remember the young lady back in the days. I'm not gonna age myself anymore. Mr. Diaz spoke on a couple of things which did not, so you have 1,000,008, which is going to cover the direct project gap of
Right.
150 apiece, and then 200,000 of this would be the 10% admin fee,
Administrative
So-
fee not to exceed the 200.
not to exceed. So where is the remaining funds we're talking about for designing a, I don't know, architect, to hire an architect to design I don't know, single family residence that it
There's-
could,
that's a small figure. That's $25,000.
It's in the resolution. It's
the
oh, it's
third
in the
from-
resolution,
yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
it's the third from the bottom resolved in the
Sorry,
resolution.
I was just reading the cover. I didn't get to the resolution. Okay,
sorry.
that's what, no, that's just me. Okay,
So I do want to applaud the concept of that 25,000.
Mhm.
Interestingly, I have some familiarity these days with the city of Los Angeles since my son, who used to work for the city of Hartford, decided to flee and go to Los Angeles.
That's where he is.
That's where he is. Yes.
Okay.
And he and his wife were very much involved in the development scene in Los Angeles, at least in getting to understand it. They're not developers per se. But one of the things that he brought to my attention is that the city of Los Angeles has done just this.
Oh, yeah?
They have, in an effort to promote accessory dwelling units, they had architects design an accessory dwelling unit that would fit in many, many backyards of many of the lots in Los Angeles. And so the agreement is that if you choose that design, all the permitting is approved. You don't have to go through any separate permitting. It's, you know, your plan just goes forward. And so apparently that's, I don't know what kind of success they've had, but I know that people have been building them. My son among them is building it himself as a pilot project out there. Perhaps to entice his parents to come out to stay in this ADU. I'm not sure, but
Never know.
you never know. So
Yeah,
anyway,
there-
very interesting.
Yeah, there are a few
Absolutely.
obstacles, obviously, historic districts, maybe setback requirements based on where the projects are. But I think that's one of the things that the mayor wanted was to expedite the process where someone can say, okay, this is almost pre-approved. And when you know, I was talking to a young man who came here looking for city properties yesterday, and it's more complex to start from scratch because now you're a pre-development budget. you know, you have to go in there, hire an architect, design something, engineers looking at utilities, even before getting to a council approval process. Because now you have to, before you even finalize your proposal, you have to spend all these dollars without guaranteeing that you're going to get, you know, authority to move forward. So us having this available may expedite, may incite more people to, you know, look at these vacant lots.
No, I
And
think absolutely. It seems like a great idea. Yeah.
the designs are in line with the building typology specified in our form-based code, so it's they're zoning compliant.
Awesome. So
Councilman
that's all
Surgeon.
set. Yes, sir. I want them to the motion on the floor to favorably send back to the council.
And I
Take
second
recommendation
that.
for approval.
I second that
Okay.
motion. Any
Yep.
further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes. It'll be sent back favorably. I think that's the last thing on our agenda for tonight. I want to thank our corp counsel who's been diligently with us all evening. Every time we got knocked out, he came back. Thank you, Mr. Vassallo.
Absolutely.
Good to have you with us, and thank you everybody for hanging in there. It's not exactly our best form tonight, but
I know.
we did seem to get it all done. So good for us. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you,
Okay,
and
thank you.
welcome
Okay.
back, Councilwoman
Bye.
Surgeon.
Yes.